Yo, what is up, TBU fans, and welcome to the Power Rankings number 3, actually, post week 2. Um, you're here again with your two analysts, me, Schady,
And myself, Shroomraver.
and if you don't know what the Power Rankings are, you can go back to the very first one where we explain it. I'm just gonna give you a very, very brief explanation. Basically, it's not the league table, not even close. Well, kind of close, but this is only based on our opinions, who we think was best, who we think was worst, who we think did well, who prepared well, who played well, who made misplays, whatever. And these are opinions, straight up opinions. Don't judge us. We judge people, not you. Um, yeah. If you disagree, though, which you're completely free to do, you can leave your own power rankings on this in the description. No, that's not your place. In the
No, in the
comments,
comment section. That's the one.
and we'll be looking through those and see if we can understand your reasonings. And yeah, I think that's fun.
Pretty much, yeah.
I want to see power rankings in the comments. I don't think I've seen any yet.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what everyone else is thinking, whether you agree or disagree, and for what reasons.
Indeed. As per usual, I think I'm gonna start because, yeah, because I'm the Lord.
I mean, debatable, but we'll roll with it. So,
Um, and my last two spots haven't changed. Number 12 is still Jedi from the Highland Houndooms. I think
So-
it's same for you.
yeah, it's actually getting to the point where we're sort of our lists are getting more and more close together in where we've placed people. So there are going to be more similarities between our lists. Case in point, indeed, is position 12, where I also do have Jedi card it.
I had no reason to move Jedi. There was just nothing. There was one thing I really liked. I'm gonna start with the good things. The Skuntank set, I think that was cool.
Yeah.
The Salt West Acid Spray, that's a good idea. I like that. But that's pretty much where all the good things end for me. Hidden Power Fighting on the Rotom doesn't make sense. The Scarf Rotom, Volt Switch. Again, please put Volt Switch on it.
Yeah.
Or if you're really worried about the Bishop, which is not going to stay in a Rotom in the first place, run Will-O-Wisp. You know, Scarf Will-O-Wisp is always a very solid option. Hydro Pump and T-Bolt do a shitload to any Bishop anyway. So HP Fighting was a bit of a waste of a move slot, in my opinion. Then the Volcarona? All I've written down are a lot of question marks and a big no. I have no, that's all I have. I don't understand. I really don't. Your plan was to check/counter the Mega Medicham with a Volcarona, which speed ties at best.
Yeah.
That's
And-
not gonna work. Don't rely on speed ties. It's not a good idea. It's like relying on confusion.
Yeah, and especially without the speed setup option, it was an intriguing set to run. He got unlucky. We do have to say he did get unlucky
Oh, yeah,
with the
of course.
speed tie.
But still.
You know, it's not a risk that you really want to be taking. Jedi's team. I also enjoyed that AV Skuntank, AV Acid Spray, as you say, really nice option to run. Just things that were lacking. You know, everything to do with hazards. There were no hazards. There were no hazard removal. You've got a Volcarona. You're going up against a team with a Powdon. You need hazard removal. You need it if you're going to do anything with Volcarona.
You
Which
know, he
I'll-
had the sticky web on his own, so he didn't want to defog, but still, you gotta have it in the
Yeah.
bag if necessary.
Yeah, it's something that you really want. When you've got something that weak to hazards, it's
Exactly.
something that you really just want to be bringing it really.
Yeah. Also not a fan of Sigilyph, because Cosmic Power Air/Set is not gonna beat Anima's team anytime soon. You know, it wasn't a bad idea. It's just that I don't think was the optimal set. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
At least he didn't bring Store Power, because that would have been a
Yeah,
stupid idea.
that would have been a bad idea.
So,
I think.
Props for that.
Yeah, I think, like you say, more could be gained from of maybe going from a much more offensive set based around coverage to hit a lot of Anima's mons. But as you say, he could have brought a worse set. He could have brought a worse set. This one had the possibility of doing some work. The Psycho Shift onto the Medicham was very nice. But you know, there were other options that I think could have been explored with a bit more success.
Yeah. And also something that's just personal. I would have preferred U-turn over Bug Bite on the, I think, Bandits, if I recall correctly, for this match, because Anima has a lot of offensive threats, a lot of offensive checks to things. So having the initiative from a really powerful U-turn would have been slightly better.
Yeah.
That's nothing terrible. It's just something that I think would have been a better option. So just a bit of advice. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Are there any plays I've written down where I'm just like, what are you doing? Or that was good or anything? No, nothing.
Yeah, I don't think
Jedi has been playing not terribly this game. He has been playing pretty well. That's not the reason why he's number 12.
Yeah.
The reason is his planning and his team in general. So yeah, he played a pretty decent game, relying on speed turn, turn 2. That's something you do in a clutch, but as we said, that's part of his planning, and
Yeah.
it's not a good idea. That's pretty much it.
I think
Anything
so.
else you have to
I
add?
think that's pretty much it for me as well on Jedi. He's still showing the promise of his draft, which raised eyebrows when he did it. But he's exploring different ways of using it, and it's got to be a matter of time before he finds success, I think.
Yeah, I think he's still trying to find his way into this format.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
Indeed. Moving on, I think we agree once again at number 11, which is Xenon from the Slovenian Arcanines.
Yep, same here at number 11, Xenon.
It was once again his team building mainly. He was very, very underprepared for everything of Jack. Not everything, but a lot of things. Megalopony, he didn't bring like a defensive Arcanine which can deal with Megalopony very well. I know that because I love Megalopony. And most importantly, he didn't bring hazard removal.
Yeah, that was vital.
Against a team that has the option of hazard stack in the form of spikes, rocks, and potentially even toxic spikes, because he has 2 poison types, so that's not a problem. And his reasoning for not bringing Scissor, he said that pretty much everything can pack a fire move. Yes, welcome to Pokemon, where everything can run a fire move. That's not a reasoning. I had Mega Scissor last season. It's risky to run it, because HP Fire and Fire Punch and everything is just everywhere. But still, you need a defogger, and that's the only one. That's a draft mistake on his part.
Yeah, I mean that point about the Scizor with the option of running fire things, and you mentioned just now he's got an Arcanine on his team. I mean, if you want to switch into fire type moves, Arcanine is there. You have the option to scout for it, so it's not as much of a risk. But those are his choices of what to bring. Hazard removal, I think, for me was again the main thing. I liked some of his mons. I liked offensive Amoonguss with the Assault Vest.
Yeah, that was cool.
Once again, a nice Assault Vest user this week. My main absolute bugbear with this was you're bringing a Trick Room team. You have to bring contingency if you're bringing Trick Room. You absolutely have to, because if Trick Room doesn't work, you're done. And, Meloetta sitting at a base 90 speed, maybe that was a contingency, but you're running Trick Room on that mon. You have to have a dedicated, non-Trick Room mon, just in case it all goes wrong.
Exactly. Fire moves aren't that big of a problem for his team, honestly. He has Gastron and, like you said, Arcanine. So going for that once again. I just want to go back to the point.
And of course, Dragalge can take them fairly well as well.
Oh, nice.
nice and
I like the Electros because it was creative. I'm not sure if it was the best set, but it was creative. Super Fang, Toxic, T-Bolt, and Resto Chesto.
Yeah,
That's
really
cool.
nice, really nice combination.
Physically defensive, if I recall correctly. Mostly for Lopunny and stuff.
Yeah.
Can also kind of check Lando, maybe.
My problem with that was just not taking the chance to rest when he had it.
Yeah, exactly. That was only ground immunity, the only thing that doesn't care about spikes. So you probably should have kept that a bit healthier. He also got into the habit of switching too much when you can't get rid of hazards. He switched into Amoonguss on something, I'm not sure what it was, and then double switched out right away.
Yeah.
Because he realized this is actually not the best matchup. If there has up, every single play has to be precise as fuck.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. If there has stacked, you have to play like that. Once again, Xenon just had a bad matchup in the end, so he's been getting kind of unlucky with matchups.
Yeah.
And his own team building in this case.
And in a lot of cases, the hacks have gone against him, but that's just something that we all can't control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it's known. I guess that's it.
Yep, pretty much from here. And moving on to number 10. Again, I believe we have the same person at number 10.
We have Sigi from the Blastburn Rovers.
Yes.
I don't think Dan played badly, again. I didn't like that he stayed in with Mega Pinsir on the Kyurem. It was fairly obvious it was Scarf because it switched in on a trick after Protect. If you don't recall the game, Confederates used, I think it was Confederates used Protect
Yeah.
on Togekiss that went for Trick and he switched in Kyurem. So it was fairly obvious it was Scarf. Potentially Specs, but still. On the other side, Kyurem is bulky. It's gonna live a return. It's not gonna drop.
Yeah.
It will live. So I don't like that play at all. He lived, so it kind of worked out in the end on 2 HP.
Yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed that little bit of investment into Pinsir to allow him to live that hit. I quite enjoyed that.
I'm not sure if that was planned. Did he say anything?
I'm not sure if it was planned. I think it might have been just that last minute sort of, I'll throw these spare EVs into HP, and it just happened to work out, which was good for him, and of course allowed him to get off the very cool Latias use of Custap Healing Wish. He didn't actually use the Custap; it was knocked off. But I like that the idea of Custap Healing Wish. Which was looking to work out, getting it into the Pinsir, but then came the defining play of the game. I think we might want to say.
There was the 50-50 with SDing on the Mega Venusaur, predicting Confagrius to come in because Confagrius is a very good check / counter to Mega Pinsir because of the mommy thing. It was a 50-50, nothing else. Dan said it was a bad play on Enzo's part. I mean, it was a 50-50. I think Dan is right. I think he made the better play.
Yeah.
But Enzo just he doesn't mess around with threats.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
That's what I say. He's been to the school of don't mess with threats. He took the gamble, and the gamble paid off. Mega
Venusaur was kind of his win condition from this range, but
he played very riskily with it, and we've seen risks not pay off. In this case, it was just one that did.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad play on Enzo's part at all. It's a discussable play, but I think I maybe would have done the same. Maybe. So yeah, because giving a Mega Pinsir +2 is never a good idea.
Yeah, precisely.
Also, Dan, your Pinsir was not max happiness. Look out for that next week. You don't want that to bite your ass. Didn't matter too much this game, but just
always important to keep your Pokemon happy.
Because
do what
Pokemon
you can
is a stupid game
to make them love you.
Keep the happiness.
Yeah.
That's it about Dan, pretty much.
Yeah.
He didn't play badly again.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I definitely see him moving up from those bottom spots, things.
Yeah. The movement has already begun, and I think he can continue it.
Yeah. Moving on, I think we agree again.
I think have we got slightly different at number 9? I have got Squirtacular.
So do I, because I changed my list around last minute.
Yeah, Squirtacular and the Kentucky Kecleons taking that close 1-0 loss to the Welchions.
Indeed, and Squirt is one of the few people in the league that have played 2 solid games. Because most people have kind of played games, at least one of them, and he played 2 solid games and he still lost both of them. Which means he's gonna move up. If he continues to play well, he's gonna get a win, and from there it's just gonna be a lot better for him.
He will. As to the game and his team building, I think he had some very questionable decisions right from the beginning. You're going up against a team with Sylveon. You have 2 poison types. He didn't bring either of them.
Yeah, that's one thing.
That's
also, you can have an electric immunity, if I recall correctly. King is one of them.
Yeah.
I think it's his only one, if I recall correctly.
Could well be.
I don't have the draft in front of me right now. Excuse me for that.
Yeah.
Slip up. But yeah, electric immunity against a team that has Lantern and Mega Manectric. You kind of want one of those.
Yeah.
Because giving your opponent free initiative is not the best thing. Oh god, I have a lot of stuff written down. He predicted the Mega Manectric lead, which I think was a mistake on Frito's part, because Mega Manectric is such an obvious lead. Megazord is a massive threat. So he did that well. Mega Manectric is an obvious lead because no electric immunity, Zard X counters that thing to hell and back. I asked him about a play. I asked Josh about a specific play.
Yeah.
He SD'd on the Empoleon as it switched out. And I wanted to know if it was intentional to bait in the Mega Manectric. It was actually just a misplay.
Well.
I was going to give him the massive praise of the year.
Yeah.
Because Zard X can set up on Mega Manectric all day.
Yeah.
Especially up at -2. But it was just a misclick, so...
it's just funny how these things just sometimes work out, isn't it?
Yeah, because he still got to set up with Zard, which caused Frito a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
because it's Zardex. It's just a scary thing.
Mm.
I think that's. Oh yeah, the Mew. I like the Mew.
Yeah.
The rock polish, especially offensive Mew.
Yeah,
That
that's a
was
very
cool.
nice set. I've got that written down too. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I mean, I think to sum up Squirtacio's performance, he was equally as good as Frito was on the day, I think. And that's that's a credit to how he's going to perform in the rest of these. As you said, if he keeps up these solid performances, the wins will come, and with that will come a rise up the table and up the rankings.
Indeed, I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Really. Moving on to number 8.
Number 8, and I believe this is where the first time we are actually going to be differing in our list. Who do you have at number 8?
I have Eric Ashnakai and the Bristol City Fletchlings.
Alrighty.
First thing is, what was the skill swap Mega Audino for?
Yeah.
He used it on the Mega Pidgeot, but that doesn't help in any way, shape, or form because no guard works on both sides.
Yeah.
Don't understand that. Maybe I just missed something, but I don't see why it's such a good idea. Then his team was really weak to Raichu, the electric ice coverage. He overlooked a threat. It happens. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. It's nothing terrible. And Raichu ended up getting 4 kills against him. Which
Yeah.
It's a Raichu. Surprising. And another thing. Excuse me.
Wow. Wow. Okay. There it is.
He was in with his what's it called? Clotzer against the Mega Pidgeot, and clicked Dark Pulse and Aurasphere, and he said he was predicting Raichu. I cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
Water Stab is a thing. It does more. Maybe it's just a mistake in the commentary. Can happen, of course. But I just don't understand why he made that. He can just click Water Pulse, Scald, whatever he had, and do more damage, and have the additional effect as well.
Yeah. I mean, a few questionable plays on his part. But I say I'll go into my thoughts on that when I get onto where I have Ashnakai in my list.
I'm gonna leave the praise to you. You can go over that because I don't have a lot of good things written down because I'm bad.
Fair enough.
Moving on to your number 8, I suppose.
Yeah, my number 8, I have the Somerset Scissors with interim manager Jack, the Don Fanatic, taken over, of course, from Sid Awesome. Took the 2-0 over Xenon and the Slovenian Arcanines. I think he prepped quite well. Despite sort of looking into things that Xenon didn't bring, he was quite set on the idea of Keldeo. And in his commentary, he seemed surprised by Trick Room. And you look at Xenon's team, and you shouldn't be surprised by Trick Room. It is one of his main things he's got going for him. However, I think he built very well despite that. It was a very good decision to bring Hazards. He also had some very interesting ideas. Crunch on Hydreigon, prepping for the potential AV Meloetta. That I thought was a good decision, even though it wasn't necessarily needed. Top use of Registeel. I love me a successful Registeel use, and
I wonder why.
Well, Registeel is the man. He was making some safe fake out plays, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about yourself with use of Megalopony.
He played better than Sis. Fake out on the Amoonguss. I guess he could have gone for a return.
Yeah, I think there were decisions he could have made other than fake out. It worked out for him in this instance.
I think that was based on him not calcing what the Amoonguss set actually was.
True.
Because if he would have known, then he could have just gone for a return and knew he would probably kill from that range. Because he was adamant, because he has some slow stuff and things.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I want to say about him is, he has experience of this kind of format, and he could have maintained his differential better. But that was just a mistake on his part, just forgetting that Trick Room was up. And that's he'll learn to pay attention of field effects from now on. I'm sure he will.
I mean, it's part of Jack. He always kind of lacks attention in some of his games.
Sometimes this is true. Yes.
Some things. It happens.
Yeah.
But I think he massively improved. But I'm gonna get into a bit of that.
Yeah.
Later on. Moving on in number 7. I don't think we agree on this. No, we don't. I have Richie from the Live Verbal FC.
Yeah.
It hurts me. It pains me to put my good buddy down there. But he once again lost. Unfortunately, with a very close game, I have to say that.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to say about him. He played a safe game. His team didn't seem like anything was dumb, except for one thing. Second week in a row, he brought Assault Vest Melodic.
Yeah.
Against a team that gets completely walled by Melodic to hell and back, and again, back and forth. It just can't deal with fucking Melodic. And he brought Assault Vest, which is the worst possible Melodic set. Well, not... Bandit is probably worse.
I was going to say. I'm sure we could think up some sets that would be worse.
It's the worst viable set.
Yeah.
It's keep it at that.
Uh-huh.
I watched his commentary, not his commentary. He didn't upload. I watched Gabriel's part. I was like, why did he not recover with the Milo on the Azu? I'm using short terms. The Melodic on the Azumarill. I asked him what his set was, and he was Assault Vest again. I was like, no, Richie, please don't bring that every week. I think if he had a proper Melodic set, like a mixed defensive one, he could have won that game just with Melodic on its own. Because Gabe's team couldn't really deal with it. He didn't have Trick on the Rotom, I don't think. I think he had Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Overheat, and Willow. So, Malo could have won him the game. It didn't. And that's pretty much that. It's the Richie. Richie knows how to play a game. If he stops bringing the same set twice in a row, that's the big problem. Because you're not gonna mirror code something twice in a row. He did, but it's not like, hey, I have a mirror code. What a surprise! No.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can pack mirror code on not AV1 as well. That's what I'm trying to get at.
True.
Yeah, recover is just such an essential move for you old Milotic, and that's enough of my rant about bringing bad Milotic set. And moving on to your number 7.
Yeah, I have Ashton Akai and the Bristol City Fletchlings. The only recipient of a non-close defeat, taking the 4-0 loss to the Twinley Tyrants. There were some things I enjoyed on his team. I think we disagree on how smart the play was with the Glare Superior. I thought it was a good play, allowing him to get paralysis onto the Mega Pidgeot. Unfortunately, of course, Bryce packing the Cleric. But I
like the Glare. I just don't like him subbing constantly.
Yes, that's true. That was my next point.
Way too much.
Whilst Glare was good, he was too fixated on subbing. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Skill Swap Ordino, I like it. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, in general.
But at the time, as you said, not his best play. Not his best play at all, with no guards being the thing he was switching around. The Gligar set, he made some interesting predictions with that, some good predictions, getting Toxics off, but knowingly walled by Pidgeot, I don't know. If you're going into a match knowing that you're walled by something, possibly preparation could have been done a bit better. I also think he wasted his Mean Shao far too early.
Yeah, because he said himself he had switch-ins.
Yeah, he did. He knew he had switch-ins, and he didn't use them. Other than that, at the end, again, it's this whole thing about preserving differential. He didn't Dazzling Gleam the Raichu. I think what he said was he was expecting to take less damage from Raichu's Thunderbolt, looking to get himself healed up from the status, maybe get some recovery off, and try and preserve his differential a bit better that way. But, Raichu is more powerful than it's given credit for sometimes, I think. So he could have had a bit of a better differential. But, yeah. That's why I said it's more powerful than it's given credit for sometimes, Schady.
I mean,
maybe not by you. Yeah, that's true. I disagreed with that play. I think he should have just gone for the differential when he had the chance. He did, of course, have a bit of unfortunateness. Because that's a word. With the Leaf Storm miss. But,
yeah.
He's had a good game and a bad game.
Yeah.
So, for me, he is still something of a little bit of an unknown quantity on a personal level. I look forward to seeing what more he's going to be able to do in the coming weeks.
Yeah. I think you also had the problem of having just really solidly playing opponent.
Yes, that is true.
Who's actually someone who moved up massively. We'll get into that later.
We will.
Not spoiling a lot, just a little bit. Moving on to my number 6, I guess.
Yeah.
That is Jack from the Awesomeness. This is the interim coach. I knew Jack's team before because he sent it to me. And I was like, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
He sent me Calcs as well. Hydreigon's Crunch would have, with that investment that he had, would have killed Malueta, like max HP one. After rocks and I think 3 spikes, one of the 2. And, Hydreigon speeds unless it's a scuffed one, which... He doesn't have max HP, probably dies.
Yeah.
His preparation in general was on point. Absolutely. The hazards, nice. Megalopony plus hazards, deadly.
Yeah.
Your team that doesn't have a bulky, levitating psychic type in the form of, let's say, Cresselia, Uxie, Mesprit, whatever. Yeah, his preparation was on point. His plays were pretty much on point, except for the end. You know, he kind of forgot
that was
about,
just a mistake on his part.
the trick room thing. But I think that's all I have to say, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think to build on that, it just shows how he's improving as a player.
Definitely.
His preparation and his gameplay. He's just really improving as a player as time goes by and as he gets more games under his belt.
Which I don't appreciate because I have to play him next season. Anyway,
Very true.
Yeah, I'm proud of Jack. He did a thing.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Maybe he can, hopefully, he can keep this up because
Yeah, it'd be good to see.
really good. If he continues to do it like that, he might even be a title contender, or at least until he Scissor's back.
Yeah, very possibly.
Hopefully, he can keep on. Nah, just too much stuff I have to talk. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Your number 6.
My number 6, I have Richie and the Live Wormpool FC dropping down to 6. Again, much as I like Miracote Milotic, Assault Vest set, I disagree with. I disagree with that. But he made some very good plays throughout the game. Very good Stone Edge play on the Altaria switch. We'll come on to Gabe's Altaria when we talk about it later on, because there are some interesting things that need to be said. I think
one thing,
go on.
real quick. When Escavalier was in against Entei, and he clicked Bulldoze, Stone Edge would have been his better play overall.
Yeah.
Because it would have hit all of Gabe's potential switch-ins, and a potential air balloon would have been broken on Entei's part. Would have killed Erodon probably. If not, then E-Speed would have finished it off. So yeah, I think it was just a bit of misplay in the mid-game, early game, whatever it was. That way, should have gone for Stone Edge. But, you know, he just saw like, oh my god, there's a Fire Muni. Let me click the super effective move.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, the only other real misplay I could see on his part was the necessity, I think, to E-Speed the Espeon when he had the chance, which is a chance he didn't take, which allowed Espeon to do a little bit more work. But other than that, I think he played well. I think he used Golbat very well. I think the timing of his rocks was very good. I think his team building overall was pretty solid. He was just unfortunate to lose, really, on what was a damage roll.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
I think that's all. There's not a whole lot.
Yeah, not too much more
about
to say on that note. So I guess we will move on to our number 5 positions. Who do you have at 5?
I have Enzo from the Whiskers.
Yeah.
Once again, there's not a lot I have to say, really. He played a solid game. The 50-50 at the end, I guess. Is questionable. Wasn't a bad play in my opinion, like I said. I think I potentially would have made the same play. And that means I think it's a solid play.
Yeah.
He messed around with the Vs. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
He listened to me and to Sly as well, and he prepared for the entire team of his opponent, which is good, because that was his biggest problem last week, even though he of course got the big win. But
Yeah.
it's still a mistake on his part that he fixed, and that's awesome. He listened to the people who tell him to improve, and that's awesome. I think that's just a smart approach
Yeah.
to things.
Yeah.
And yeah, props to Enzo. He's definitely improving, and
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Defensive Victini was a thing that I'm gonna leave to you.
Yeah.
Because you love that. I know. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Moving on to your number 5.
Yeah, my number 5, I have Vice and the Twin Leaf Tyrants. The big 4-0 victory. You know, he had the matchup with Raichu, and it's always nice to see those sort of underestimated things that you sort of look at and go, they're not going to put in too much work. It's nice when they do. Raichu, did it come away with 4 KOs, was it? Something like that? Yeah, I mean, which is nice. He made some interesting decisions. Again, I think I've mentioned how I thought both coaches were a little bit wasteful certain times. The clef switching on Tentacruel, odd. Leaving it in on Tentacruel, even odder. He wasted the Clefable. But, you know, he saved the threats that he needed. You know, he saved Raichu well. He saved Weavile, who I don't think even touched the field. I like defensive Tyrantrum. An easy thing to forget about. Tyrantrum, of course, a massive offensive threat with some very high-powered moves. Easy to forget that it can run a very effective defensive set with phasing and hazards. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Bice really showing to be a very, very effective player. Moving up the rankings, and rightly so.
Yeah, the defensive Tyrantrum is just nothing crazy. I think a lot of people have come up with it, but
Yeah.
it's just a very solid idea, very good thing. I think it is worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And, because even a, let's say, natural gift ground with 100 base power wouldn't touch a defensive Tyrantrum anytime soon. Because Talonflame, which is what they're for, is not the most powerful Pokemon.
Yeah, and even uninvested, any kind of rock stab will kill like 7 Talonflames.
Yeah.
Minimum 7 Talonflames.
Yeah.
Science has confirmed that.
I think we're gonna move on to my number 4.
Yes.
Which might be surprising. Gabriel from the LA Galaxy Ray. He moved down even though he won his game.
Yeah.
Why? Let me tell you why. This is gonna be a bit of a rant. Gabe, before you think I hate you, I don't. You're a cool guy. I like you. But there's just a bit of things that upset me slightly. And by slightly, I mean massively. First up, last week I forgot to mention he did not know Nidoking gets Fire Blast and Flamethrower and was preparing for an HP Fire Nidoking. Basic competitive knowledge, knowing that Nidoking gets fire moves, good fire moves that are not HP Fire. Now that that's out of the way, moving on to this week, which means he didn't do his homework in week 1. Now week 2. Mega Mawile doesn't get Fire Punch. It doesn't. Because that would be even more broken. I don't know how it's possible to make it even more broken, but it is apparently.
Give it Sacred Fire.
You need to stop. Stop right there, Satan. Once again, he didn't do his homework there. One sec, I have other things written down that I just can't read because I have terrible handwriting. Oh yeah, he also said, he said his opponent didn't have a Mold Breaker. I'm just thinking like, cure him! It's a threat. It has something similar to Mold Breaker, which is the exact same thing. Just has a fancy name. Other thing, Escavalier was special defense invested with Choice Band. Why not just make it Assault Vest? If you're gonna go that way, just run max attack, adamant with Assault Vest, you have almost the same result. And you can switch up moves, and it's a lot more reliable. I don't understand that. Next thing, I'm sorry, Gabe, I'm just ranting all over you, but it's not my fault. You made the mistakes.
Wow, there it is.
He was expecting a Rock Smash Entei to lead with his Heat Run. Entei gets Bulldoze. Rock Smash is going to do a maximum of 5%. Not literally, but yeah, Bulldoze. He said Bulldoze wouldn't do too much to his Heat Run. It's an Entei. It's probably an OHKO, or at least a very easy 2-hit KO. While Rock Smash is going to do the damage, I don't understand. I don't understand the thought process there. I don't understand anything. I'm confused. But there's a good thing. I have to mention a good thing. He had to wish on his Espeon, which I was like, that's weird, but it worked out really, really well for him. He played that very well. The Espeon thing. In general, he played a solid game. I think Gabriel is a very, very solid player. It's just that he doesn't have the extensive knowledge that I expect. And if you don't have the knowledge, you look things up, and that's what he didn't do. So Gabe, please look things up in the future, and I will love you more. But yeah, props for the Espeon and the way it worked.
Yeah. Because
Espeon has low HP, but still the wish passing worked out, and I like that. Props for that. He moved down 2 spots, but hey, it happens.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that off.
So, you got that all off your chest. So that's Shardy's number 4, and we heard a little bit of how he feels about that. So yeah, my number 4, I have Freedomian and the Welchions at number 4, taking the 1-0 victory, and there were a few questionable things here. I know that Shardy is going to be picking up on this as well. The HP Ice decision on the Mega Manetric was questionable, and we both sort of, our first reactions to that when we were talking about this originally were HP Ground maybe, which would have been better. Again, we've seen some very nice Assault Vest sets this week. I liked the idea of Assault Vest Lantern. It didn't do a massive amount in this game, but I like the idea. And also, Shardy, if you want to know how to get KOs with Crobat, this is the game to watch. Because he managed to get 2, which is 2 more than you got all season, I believe. Am I correct in that?
You shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, his Crobat was offensive.
Yeah.
It was a scarf Crobat, which at first was like, why? And I'm still like, why? But I guess it was for a setup Charizard. He didn't really say what his point was, but it's not going to do a whole lot to Zard. It was just lucky that it was weakened. I guess it was game plan, weaken Zard as it sets up, and then come with Crobat.
I mean, yeah. My only other real thoughts on Frito, I thought he was a little bit too cautious around the Kecleon. It's powerful, but it's not that powerful. He switched out the Sylveon when he could have just stayed in, probably tanked a hit. I don't know if Kecleon was running or gets Gunk shot.
It gets hits to things to hit Sylveon at least.
Yeah. I still think he could have stuck around with it. What I really enjoyed about Frito was his attitude. He said himself he wasn't happy with his performance, even though he got the win. Very healthy attitude to take. He's seen where he was maybe misplaying or going wrong, even though he got a win. Very good attitude to have going into these games, and that will really be an asset to him when he's building in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk a bit more about Frito because he's higher up on my list.
Yes, he is.
Moving on to my number 3, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
And that is indeed Bice from the Twin Leaf Tyrants.
Yeah.
He moved up by 5 spots for me, which seems odd. I know. I normally wouldn't do it, but my main reasoning for this is he played 2 solid games in a row, while the majority of players had at least one game where I'm like, that wasn't too great. You would have lost if that and that happened. You should have won this and that.
Uh-huh.
But Bice won both of his games, and he was playing very solidly twice. I like to protect Mega Pitch for the Superior because he can switch in, protect, and then on speed next turn. Switch in as not Mega.
Yeah.
I think it was a really good idea. Switching in Clefable on Tentacruel? No, not a good idea. It hurt me because I love Clefable. But other than that, I think it was a really salty play game from him again. And he moved up massively from, I think, number 10 originally. Number 11 even. Okay, right here. To number 3 now.
Yeah,
So,
a huge mover for Schady in his rankings list.
yeah.
But deservedly so, as you say. He's played 2 very solid games, and he's got the results that he very much deserves from them.
Yeah, and he's showing a bit of creativity.
Yeah.
Nothing super crazy, but
Yeah.
solid sets that work.
Yeah, creative enough that it
Tyrantrum.
may not be initially expected, and but are still proven to have worked. He's playing very intelligently very early on.
Yeah, I'm very happy with his performances so far. I can't put him any higher because that would just be ridiculous for now, moving up that quickly.
Yeah.
But in the future, you might get into the first 2 spots. But number 3 is already really good.
Yeah.
And talking about number 3,
Yes.
what's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be Anima and the Golden State Dragons taking the 2-0 victory over Jedi Codet and the Houndooms. Read Jedi's team pretty well, I thought. He wasn't expecting her to bring as much bulk as she did, which is sort of odd. She's got some very nice bulk on her team.
Yeah.
I thought she played her Hippowdon very well. Able to get up hazards when she could. And yeah, I just think that her Hippowdon was very intelligently played. Won the crucial speed tie on Volt versus Medichan, which that played its part because she had one Pokemon that she brought specifically for an out of control Volcarona, and that was the Sashed Alamomola. Now, when you think of Alamomola, you don't think, oh, that's frail, that needs a focus sash. But what she was planning for was just in case it gets up to, like, God forbid, +2, +3 with the Quiver Dances, she can bring it in, tank a Giga Drain, and then go for the Mirror Coat. Now, by the time she had to use Alamomola, Volcarona was already gone, so what she did was adapt it to the next biggest threat, which was, of course, the Rotom Wash. Brings in Alamomola on the Rotom Wash, goes for the Thunderbolt, doesn't do enough, didn't take it down to Sash, and gets bopped by Mirror Coat, which I thought was fantastic. I love that play. Mirror Coat is one of my favourite moves. I love seeing it used effectively. So yeah, a great use of Alamomola and Hippowdon. Very deserving of her number 3 spot. Didn't see any reason to move her above the other two who I already had there, but certainly no reason to move her down. And yeah, 2 wins from 2 games, looking very solid. Nice sets, title contender.
Yeah, and that's my number 2 as well. Anima is a number 2 for me, so
Yes.
that just fits perfectly.
Uh-huh.
Um, she had max speed. At least on Greninja, I didn't bother to look up the other ones. You know, I just want to see the speed EVs. You know, she doesn't need max on something like Greninja. It can put a few EVs out, put them into HP, so even at lower range, she can live like a Bandit Bull Punch from Scissor or whatever. You know, I think it would have been smart, but other than that, Satchel Mola, like you said, was a cool idea. Mainly because Jedi didn't have hazards, at least.
Yes.
You know, no rocks or spikes, or even toxic spikes. You know.
Yeah.
So that's why it was good. Otherwise, it would have been eh. But she said as well, she wouldn't have brought it if there were hazards. Probably not. Then the Rock Tomb Mega Man Jam, that was cool. Because who thinks of Rock Tomb on the Mega Man Jam? Not a lot of people. So that was cool because it does a lot to Sigilyph. It kills Volcona. I didn't like her first turn play, using Fake Out on a Flame Body Mon.
Yeah, that was a risk.
It was way too risky, especially since she didn't have aromatherapy on Aromatisse. Other than that, I just think it was a very solidly played game on her part.
But at least it wasn't taunt bait Aromatisse this time.
Yes, and it was 2 attacks, which made me happy.
Yes.
HP Fire, Aromatisse, you know, makes sense.
Yep.
Sort of HP Rock. It's kind of a toss up between those two because Volgrona, of course. But I think she was already prepared for Volgrona, so at that point.
Yeah.
HP Fire was the better idea. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Anima. So she's definitely title contender. And yeah, I'm happy. Except for the speed EVs thing.
Yeah.
Just do it for me. Wasting EVs is not a good idea.
Alrighty.
Okay. Moving on to your number 2.
Yeah, my number 2, I have Enzo and the Swiskers, who you have already spoken a little bit about. You know, he the main thing to mention of that out of that match, of course, we've already spoken about the Mega Venusaur HP Rock gamble. But you know, we've spoken about that. You don't mess with the threat. He didn't mess with the threat. He got the gamble right. It paid off for him. On the other things that I would mention, which Schady went into. Just mentioned a little bit, physically defensive Victini. I love physically defensive Victini. I'm such a huge fan of that set. Because it's so easy to look at Victini and go, alright, slap a choice scarf on it, slap a choice band on it, maybe an expert belt, throw V-create, U-turn, bolt strike, and I don't know, grass knot maybe, make it a little bit mixed. It's so easy to overlook that when it comes down to it, it's another one of those base 100 across the boards. It can run defensive. It has Will-O-Wisp. It's got the ability to do it. And, you know, it wasn't necessarily needed in this match, but it's a very nice backup to have. I'm such a huge fan of the set. So yeah, props to him for bringing that.
I would have preferred a special defensive one. I think that would have fared up better against Dan's team.
Yeah, okay.
Because
yeah,
they kind of take on Thunderous and Latias.
That's fair.
As well. And well, still living a hit from Mega Pinsir unless it's at +2.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a thing I would have preferred the special defensive one.
I mean, either way, it's defensive in some form is still a good idea.
So he's looking at things and being like, yeah, just not run the Stone set. Because that's...
I mean, speaking of defense, I think his bench switch of Cofagrigus was very intelligent. You know, he saw the threat early before the game, knowing that CG has these threats, especially something like Mega Pinsir, that relies on its ability to a massive extent. Cofagrigus, very good idea. One thing we haven't really mentioned about this game was how many close calls there were on both sides. A lot of really close calls. Pokemon living on smidgens of health. It was all over the place with that. But you know, I just think he had a very nice team. He had some good EVs. He had some very nice sets. And you know, 2 from 2 for the Swiskers. They're looking good.
Indeed. And moving on to the magical number 1.
That big number 1 spot.
Which hasn't changed for me. It's Freedomion and the Welchians. You know, he made he made a couple of questionable things in his team building and while playing. But I still think he deserves the number 1 spot because his week 1 performance was so good.
Yeah.
He realized that he made mistakes this week. And also I see Animon and Freedom on pretty much the same level right now. So I just decided to keep it this way.
Yeah.
They're going to face off week 3 if I'm not completely mistaken. So that's going to change everything. basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, he should have packed HP ground on his Mega Man Trick. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Because there's Zard, X, as well as a Nidoking. Both get by HP ground. Not a good idea. I already went about the Scuff Crobat. I guess it's okay. Next thing, Subcomite Raikou would have completely destroyed his team in every way. He just would have lost. Well, Sylveon was kind of there as a check, but not really, because it was Specs. Yeah, Subcomite Raikou would have probably beaten him. Leading with Mega Man Trick was way too obvious, in my opinion, because, there's no electric immunity. Let me just lead off with Mega Man Trick and give Zard a free Mega, as well as a potential even free setup or free hit off on something. Not a fan of that. He didn't play as well as last week overall. He played somewhat hastily. He didn't think enough about his plays. He didn't do enough calcs for me. But he still played solid. This is weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that happened, but he made misplays, but he still played very solidly, leaving me to leave him at number 1, on the same level as Anima right now, and that's pretty much it.
Yep. Okay.
Moving on to your magic number 1.
My magic number 1, I have Gabriel and the LA Galux Ray. Now Schady has gone into great detail about the things he doesn't agree with on Gabe's team. I'm going to really focus on what I liked about it. First off, he had the read of Richie's team in the prediction quite well. One thing that I liked that Schady hasn't mentioned, which I'm surprised at, his speed creeping was very good.
Oh yeah.
He crept more while with Azumarill. He crept Milotic with Altaria. We will come back to Altaria. But his speed EVing was very good. He worked that very well. His Heatran was prepped pretty well as well. The Altaria, I mean it's a Mega Altaria and it had leftovers. That's sort of just, you have to have your Mega if it's a Mega.
I think he said he brought the wrong Altaria, so it wasn't excellent, but it's still,
Yeah, I mean,
pay attention.
That's the thing, ladies and gents. Pay attention to your teams. Always do that last minute check before you go into the battle. Make sure you have the right mons.
HP Dragon.
HP Dragon, true.
Shout out to Jack.
Shout out indeed to Jack. Other than that, I really liked, as has been mentioned briefly, Gabe's cleric work. I thought his cleric work was very good. He played Espeon very well, passing it into Rotom and indeed Escavalier when he had the chances. He played Rotom very well as well. He was fortunate, as fortunate as Richie was unfortunate with the roll on the overheat for the final move of the game. But Rotom overall was very key. He was played very well alongside that excellently used Espeon. I didn't want to move him down from the number 1 spot, but this is going to be a big moment, I think, for Gabe and the LA Galux Ray. Do your homework, mate. If you do your homework, you continue to get the wins. There's no reason why you'll be moving down any tables anytime soon. Don't do your homework. These things are going to come back to bite you, and they may have serious consequences for title chasers.
Yep.
Pretty much all I have to say on that, really.
Power rankings as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's going to be it.
I think
I did a lot of talking shit about people. But that's
one of Shardy's favourite pastimes.
I'm here to be to point out mistakes.
Yes.
Because that's how you improve. You realize your mistakes.
This is true.
That's what I'm here for.
And we're already seeing coaches doing that, and it will be hopeful that we see that more in the future.
Yeah. Also, I didn't mention, but I'm tired. But I don't think it came through too much.
Yeah.
So
Shardy.
I'm really tired.
Has one of the most interesting sleeping patterns of anyone I've ever known.
I don't have that one. That's the thing.
That's what makes it so interesting.
So if I messed up anything, I can blame it on being tired. Just a disclaimer afterwards. Good job, Shardy.
Absolutely.
I think it's gonna be power rankings for this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see you back next week.
Yeah, we do want to see you back as many weeks as possible. Remember, of course, as we said at the beginning, this is all opinion based. These are just where we think the people are in power, in terms of power rankings and how well they've been building and playing. So remember, these are just our opinions, and as we said, if you have any different thoughts, please do leave them down in the comment section below. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you think things are going to change. If you think we've got it right, if you think we've got it wrong. Let us know. We are always eager to hear your thoughts and see how they stack up with ours, where we differ in opinions.
Indeed. Oh God, my voice.
Schady coughing all over the place. I think that is pretty much, though, where we are going to leave you for this week. So thank you all very much for watching. Look forward to the games for this week, which will be going up sort of around the next couple of days. As for us, we will see you next on Tuesday when we have the Union news for next week. So Schady, any final words to add?
No. Thank you for watching, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent, nice and
also
concise.
blame us for the Union news not being at the right time.
Yeah,
it's my fault mainly. Blame me, hate me.
It is about 94% Shady's fault, and the rest we blame on the government and the Illuminati.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, as I say, is going to be it from us. My final thank you to you for watching, and yeah, we will see you next time, TBU fans. Goodbye.
Goodbye.